Here are some tips on how to be more charming, utilizing cognitive stacks and the Myers-Briggs. For our TI-dominant friends, the book is called The Charisma Myth. For our impatient friends, I'll sum it up for you in 3 parts. Because there are 3 parts to being more charming. Before I do, I need a caveat. Charm is a power you can use to have more influence over others. So be careful how you use it. The first out of the 3 is called presence. Presence in the Myers-Briggs world is called SE, extroverted sensing. The more present you are, the more charming. Easy as that. For the intuitives, it's a lot more difficult because SE is a sensing function, not intuition. Therefore, for this first piece, the 2 personalities in the Myers-Briggs world that have SE as their dominant are ESFP and ESTP. In second place, we have the ISFP and the ISTP. Number 2, the ability to care, sincerity, mixed with care. This is where it gets a little tricky because sincerity is FI, authenticity, and you have FE being the other half of that. Those are on the same spectrum, so you have to balance the 2. Caring for other people may be good, but if you come across as needy or too giving, people will take advantage of you because you don't have charisma. Likewise, if your FI is too dominant, you become selfish and standoffish. You're trying to be authentic by being quiet. That's not charming. Finding that balance. Most authentic personalities are INFP, ISFP, those are the FI dominants, and the FE dominants are ENFJ and ESFJ. Combining care and sincerity with presence, and you're already 2/3 of the way there to being the most charming you. Last one is power. Power is kind of like the Ganondorf of the 3. You notice my background and my clothing, my facial features, my tone, all can be a display of power. Talking in downswings instead of upswings, you see what I'm saying? That would weaken your power. That I'm holding my phone down here rather than up here. My pacing, my speech. All these things fall into the display of my power. Likewise, you have your own power. Some people display power with finances, fancy cars, gadgets, what they can afford. But remember, if they're not sincere, they don't care, that's just prideful. Especially if they're in their head and they're not present with you, they're often doing their own thing or always on the phone, they're not present. Those people just come across as, well, not charming. Likewise, an ESFP or ESTP can come across as abrasive if they're too present, right in your face, or impatient. And that's not charming either. You gotta have all 3 to be the most charming. Side notes. Notice how, with the last one, there are no cognitive functions nor Myers-Briggs that easily display power more than others. This is where personal preferences come into play. For example, an INTJ is also known as the villain. They may have a big plan, smarts. They may have fancy things, and they're utilizing the power form of charm more than the other 2, because we all know that they're certainly not present, being an inferior SE. Likewise, the INFJ is an inferior SE. They don't display power. They compensate with the FE parent more than others. Therefore, they have a lot more difficulty displaying that authenticity because they don't want to offend anybody. I can go on, things like ENTPs and INTPs having their display of smarts and the ability to connect the dots, but that doesn't come across as charming. Being smart and too giving without presence screws it all up. The ENTP would have to be a little more caring and sincere, caring about emotion rather than facts and knowledge. Same for the INTP. ISTP, to sum it up, there's so much we can talk about with charm and charisma, Myers-Briggs, cognitive stacks. I think there are certain personalities that just come across as more charming naturally. So to conclude, I'll tell you the personalities I think have the easiest path to being the most charming. Number 1, ESTP. They're SE dominant and then TI secondary, smarts, sarcastic, highly present. If they display their power in wealth, they already know how to talk, they kind of talk really cool. And the only thing that they would be lacking is their ability to fully care about you and be authentic. FI blind, FE child. That would be their weakness. They'd come across as insincere. Other than that, they're pretty charming. Second place is ISFP. ISFPs can come across as very cool. They care how they look. They're usually quite charismatic naturally. They're the artsy type, the musicians, sincere with their art. FI comes naturally, FI dominance. Then, as an ally, FE, that's easy for them too. They care about you. Their shyness can create this mystery that you might think is charming. They're also SE parents, so they're very present. If they utilize those top 2 functions and they have success in their craft, then they naturally display power. So really, I think ISFPs are first place. The real tough thing with the ISFP is not to be too cocky. How easy it can be for an ISFP to be cocky. So they really need to utilize FE. And finally, the bronze medal, in my opinion. And please comment your opinion, 1st, 2nd, 3rd place. Is yours truly, ESFP. We're a combination of both ESTP and ISFP. SE DOMs, FI secondary. The tough thing we tend to struggle with is being critical of others, which really hurts our FE. As you can see in this channel, sometimes I say the wrong things and misstep, and that hurts my charm. But if an ESFP can display power appropriately, like how I typically don't care to dress up in these videos until this one to display this purpose, then an ESFP could be quite charming. Honorable mentions. If an ENTP would learn to listen, they can also be very charming. Learn to shut off their brain, focus on the moment, not probable moments that can happen at any given time. ENTP can be very charming. Also the ISTP. If they weren't so grouchy, maximize their FE, which they're inferior about. And I think that they might even be first place. And come to think of it, oh my gosh. And naturally, the most charming personalities are ESTP, ESFP, ISTP, and ISFP. Again, this is my opinion, but I just realized that that's quite a pattern. SP. Again, anybody can be charming. What do you think?